Hey, FreightWaves fans and friends, ladies and gentlemen, and well, friends and neighbors. Thanks for tuning in today on our Friday episode. We are here to bring you a broker's perspective as well as, of course, what is happening in the weather. So lots been going on this week, and let's hear about what is happening in the weather right now. Nick Austin.
Morning, Chad.
Good morning.
Well, this year, as we're still talking about California,
The song
snow
remains
and
the
rain.
same.
That's
Snow
right.
and
Song
rain.
remains the same, and the snow is really going to pick up in the Sierra Nevada range later today, and it's going to continue and it's going to really fall pretty steady through most of the weekend. So, again, problems for truckers. Now, volumes overall are usually less than over the weekend, but there will be truckers out there on the roads, and I-80 is a pretty popular route to get out of Utah, Colorado, and through the Sierras into Northern California. But there's going to be trouble. There'll probably be road closures on Interstate 80 again because of the snow and the wind. A lot of blowing snow out there too.
What is happening like right here through the middle? It seems like there's a lot of potential disruption there.
There is. I mean, there'll be some areas of heavy snow from around Kansas City down to St. Louis. There'll be some snow up in the Dakotas. Nothing they're not used to up there. But St. Louis, Kansas City could see some heavy snow. But I'd be more worried about areas right along the border of Arkansas and Missouri. Northern Arkansas and southern Missouri, because that's where freezing rain and sleet will be falling today and possibly into this evening. So that could make roads icy. Not major interstates, but secondary routes and bridges and overpasses could get pretty slick.
Awesome.
So,
hey, well,
can I mention one more thing?
Well, you most certainly
may.
I
really would like to mention also, there's been a lot of heavy rain and flooding out in California too. I mean, roads getting washed out, mudslides, debris flows from burn scar areas where wildfires burned last year, especially in Southern California, San Diego area, but also parts of Central and Northern California earlier this week. There could be heavy rain and flash flooding in parts of Northern California, what they call the Central Valley, from Sacramento up to around Redding. So it's possible that drivers may run into some closures along I-5 in that part of California too. So I just wanted to mention that. That happened over the past few days.
All right. Yes. Thanks for that heads up. And thanks for the, the disruptions of the news and what is happening in the weather right now. And now, we've been talking a lot this week about, from the perspective of a carrier, and we've been talking about the perspective of a broker. Well, now Friday it is time to talk about the perspective of the middlemen, the middle people, and like how are they like looking at, how are they, working the two angles, especially with things getting more transparent in the market and everybody kind of knowing what is happening with volumes and tender rejections. So with that, we are bringing in a market expert, Donny Gilbert. Hi, Donny. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Chad. To start today, we're going to talk about a little bit about Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Green Bay. Well, why Green Bay?
Just a fun market that's up in the Midwest, right there above Chicago.
And what you've got pulled up for us here on this colorful graph is we're looking at all different lengths of haul, right?
These are the outbound tender rejections, and they're broken down by the lengths of haul. Yes, sir. So looking at the average, we're looking at 11.97%.
And would you say that the average is a good indication overall of what looks like a pretty volatile market here?
When you're just checking out the markets, it's great just to look at the averages and see kind of what's going on. It will explain that. But when you really want to look at a market, you need to kind of dive a little bit deeper and look at the lengths of haul. This is a great reason. It's why I wanted to look at Green Bay today. First one, 20.19%. That is our tweener length of haul. 450 miles to 800 miles. It's got a high rejection rate. It's picked up here a little bit.
People not wanting to do it as much.
People don't want to do it as much. And good reason why is because that is the most inefficient run for a truck there is, because it might take an extra day and be laying the driver over. Also, we have our mid-length of haul, 18.929%. It is it's 250 miles to 450 miles. People are not wanting to run that load out of Green Bay either. They're wanting the long hauls.
The long hauls are
5.74% rejection rate. So they're holding out for the
Real
long
low.
hauls. Really,
Real
really low.
Like really, in other words, they are generally accepting the long haul.
They are generally accepting the long hauls and the local loads. 1.35%, virtually every load as well there.
Yeah.
So when you look at what's going on, they don't want to go to the Midwest. They don't really want to go to the Southeast. They want the long haul. Laredo, Dallas, the long Southern California. And that shows when you look at the 11.97%, it shows that it's kind of could be misunderstood. You need to break it down, look at it to see where does a carrier actually want to go.
Okay.
Especially if you're a broker, because if you get in here and start booking these loads, the rates are going to be elevated and you could turn your profits into losses very, very quickly.
Are drivers wanting to turn down these tweener and midsize because they're getting paid by the mile and it's just not as efficient for their time?
Exactly.
Okay.
They are paid by the mile, and when they get in these loads, it might, like I say, they might get there the afternoon before and have to wait till the next morning to deliver, and it's going to have some wait time.
Yes.
So they're turning these down, and they're waiting for the rates to go up. They're saying, no, I don't want to run it at this rate. They'll turn it down. Eventually, they'll be accepted, but they're going to be accepted at a lot higher of a rate than what's originally being offered.
Okay, makes sense. What size portion of the overall market would you say the Green Bay market is?
Green Bay is not a very large market. It represents about 0.62% of the overall market share.
Yeah.
So it's not the Atlanta, it's not the Chicago, it's about a quarter of the size of Chicago.
Yeah.
It's not the LA, but they still have a little bit of freight that comes running in and out. It's larger than your rural markets in your south.
Yeah.
So it's a decent market to keep an eye on and keep and watch, and you can definitely still book some freight out of there.
Okay, and now you've pulled up for us the outbound tender volume index nationwide, and what are we cross comparing it with?
The outbound tender rejections for the nation.
Okay, so we've been looking at this a little bit this week. Tender rejections are tender rejections are at an historic low.
A historic low. So let's actually start off with the volume here.
Sure.
We started off in February and we've kind of flatlined here. So we're not going up, we're not going slightly down, but we're not really going down. So we're just kind of holding the same plane.
Yeah, and we're looking. This is through December, so it's just a couple of months here.
Dropped off after the season.
Yeah.
And picked back up just after the first of the year, and we've just kind of run the same rate here. But tender rejections have definitely dropped down, and we're kind of...
This is typical for February?
It is.
For the volume to be there? Okay.
February is not a golden month. It's,
right.
I always kind of call it like a mud hole. You're just kind of stuck, and it's just kind of slow.
Yeah.
But
nevertheless, tender rejections at an all-time low.
Now, we've talked to your shipper expert, we've talked to your carrier expert, brokerage. Brokerage has two sides to it.
Yes.
So this is both good and bad for brokerage.
Interesting.
Interesting.
How do they manage this?
Well, if you got contracted rates and your shipper is actually giving you the contracted rates, then you are in a sense very much like a shipper and you're in a shipper's paradise. But you have to be receiving those loads. So if you're getting your contracted rates and the tender rejections are very, very low, you're getting a very good carrier rate. And so you should be very profitable on the loads that you're currently getting.
But not all brokers have just carriers and contracted rates. Many play the spot market at least as much, right?
Yes, and that's the flip side. Getting extra freight that's outside of your contracts. That's where they're going to have the struggle. And that in case they are just like a carrier.
Okay,
Carriers are struggling right now because rates are down and the rejections are down. So if you're a broker right now and you're trying to get a rate and you're on the spot markets, your rates are going to be very, very, very low.
So for some of them, this must be just like living in paradise and they don't want to go home, just like those shippers, right? But so I would ask you, Donny Gilbert, from your point of view, okay, well, actually, I mean, before I ask you, I'm curious from a broker's perspective, if you were a broker, what would you be doing? But is there anything else that we can glean from this graph?
Well, one last point we can actually glean from the graph is when the brokers are trying to pick up the extra loads, it's going to be difficult to find your margins. So they're going to have to really, really press down on the carriers. So you asked me the famous question, what would I do if I were back in the market?
If you were back in the market, so we've pulled up the outbound tender volume index nationwide, everybody. This is the darker the blue, the hotter the market, the more of a head haul market it is.
So these are our major markets that we're pulling up. You see the Southern California has a lot of volume. Dallas in the middle, Atlanta, Chicago, and Harrisburg, PA, New Jersey, New York area. That's where a lot of your freight right now, it's where a lot of the freight volumes are centralized towards.
Yes.
With a lot of the volumes and carriers want to keep their trucks moving, these are probably areas they want to move their trucks towards.
In spite of the bad weather,
in spite of the bad
market.
Well, your Southern Cal is going to have more of the flooding. They're probably not going to run up here in the snow in the Pacific Northwest, but down here, I-10, they should be all right.
Okay.
If you're going to succeed in being a broker, you have to know where do the carriers want to go. And these are probably some of the main markets. So with the freight being down right now, and you're looking for what we call ad hoc freight, extra freight, you're going to have to explore the markets. And that's tough. When you start exploring the markets,
get out of your comfort zone.
Get out of your comfort zone.
Get out of your lane.
And be ready, because you're going to take some losses here and there.
Ooh.
Losses are not good, but it will happen if you're getting out of your comfort zone and exploring the markets.
So you're saying fail fast.
Get aggressive.
Really?
And then learn what's going on. And so you'll start, booking freight lanes, and what you're actually going to be trying to do, since you're getting a low rate, you're going to be trying to press the carriers down. So you'll find some of your lanes, you'll book the freight, and you'll break even, lose $50. And you have to keep your people working on pressing the carrier rates down and then trying to get $25, $50, $75. The margins are not going to be big right now. The freight volumes are just too low.
Awesome. Wow. Fantastic. Thank you, Donny Gilbert, and Nick Austin for that. It's like, that is good advice, I feel like. If you're ambitious, you're wanting to make your margins in this competitive, difficult February environment where volumes are high and tender rejections historically low nationally, you may need to not stay in your lane, but get out of your lane. So, that we're bringing it to you each and every day here on FreightWaves Now. Lots of news, lots of interesting things that we've been covering every day, including our Freight Futures Road Show. Stay tuned for where we're coming. I believe it's Atlanta on Monday. Then later in the week, it'll be Chattanooga, and the following week, Detroit. So stay tuned for all that's happening there. And with all that's happening in freight right now here on FreightWaves Now, check us out on FreightWaves.com and Twitter. Share the love and have a great weekend out there. And don't worry, be happy.